RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. This is your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions on diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, competitions, news, so on and so forth. It is all on the table. As we now bring in Dave Palumbo from our Cape Coral studios. Dave, we just concluded filming an episode of Iron Debate that was spurred by yesterday's back and forth on Facebook between Matt Porter and Fakhri Mubarak. It's going to go live tomorrow on RxMuscle.com.
You know, I got to commend both of those guys for coming on the show because, you know, guys like to fight on Facebook and Instagram and be big shots. And then, you know, when I approach them to come on and sort it out on Iron Debate, you know, a lot of times they're like, you know. So both of them came on. That was great. King Kamali joined us for his, point of view as well. And I thought it was good. It turned into a great show. I always wanted to do a show about what makes a good prep coach and what to look out for. So this was a good, I guess, leeway into it. So we had a little controversy, and then we also had some very good knowledge, and it was a whole hour worth of footage and coverage. So I think people are going to really like it because it's going to be something that's educational as well as entertaining.
Let's get to the questions. Again, you could join us on the Muscle Central Forum on RxMuscle.com. If you're not already a member, it is free to register. You can join us on Instagram, our official Facebook page, or tweeting us using the hashtag AskDave. Let's first go to rJunket8. Dave, I read an old interview with Lee Priest that you worked with him for his diet briefly. Is this true? And how did you work with his unique body type?
I don't think I ever worked with Lee Priest, unless I'm completely losing my mind and I forgot. I don't believe I did. I'm trying to think. If there was, it must have been for a very, very brief period of time. I don't think I did though. Like I said, I'm so scared. I'm losing my memory. People remind me of things and I'm like, I don't remember that, you know. But I think I would have remembered. Lee and I have been friends for a long time, and if he ever wanted advice, you know, moving forward, if he ever decided to compete again, I would certainly be there to aid him. Lee's a freak, though. You know, he just has to suffer. He's got one of these bodies you could probably starve him to death. He wouldn't lose 1 ounce of muscle, and he would just get leaner. He's got a very, you know, that's why he was such a good natural bodybuilder. Guys that just don't lose muscle, you know, tend to be better natural bodybuilders. Where I was a crazy fast metabolism guy, so as a natural bodybuilder, if I trained too much or if I didn't rest enough or eat enough, I would lose weight, you know, overnight. So once again, I'd love to, to the possibility of working with Lee, but no, I don't think I ever worked with him.
Mr. Lexus 1, usually on leg days and chest day, for some reason, after 2 or 3 exercises, I lose my pumps, but I continue to train just because I want to get in additional sets. Is it wise to continue training, or should I stop once my pumps are gone?
You know, pump doesn't really mean anything because if you're in a carb-depleted state, you're not going to get much of a pump. But I will tell you this. When I would go to the gym sometimes, when I was starting to really put on a lot of size and was able to feel the muscles, because initially you can't feel anything, you know. But when I was able to had a really good mind-muscle connection, I would do 4 or 5 sets sometimes on the incline barbell press for chest training. And you know what? When I got through it like the 5th set, because I'd have to build up, you know, I would go up to like 405, so you can't just start out with, you know, that. So I would have to do like 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plates, whatever, and then maybe do a drop set. Whenever I would do that exercise, I almost wanted to go home after that. I was like, wow, you know, I really gave a lot to that. I feel my pecs, they're pumped, they feel good, you know, I feel fatigued, but I feel like I don't want to do anything else after that. And you know what? I probably should have gone home after that. Because I got the maximum out of my chest. Everything after that was just kind of like going through the motions at that point. And I learned at that point that, you know what, you don't have to do 20 sets per body part to get to grow. You need to just do enough sets to stimulate that muscle and fatigue it. And that's what I was doing. And at that point, from that point on, I started to change my training philosophy, and I started to read more about the Menser and Dorian Yates philosophy, and I started doing less volume, less sets, okay, more concentration. So instead of doing, you know, so maybe I would do my 4 sets on the incline bench, and then I'd do maybe 1 set of dumbbell presses on the flat dumbbells, and then I'd do 1 set of cable crossovers, and I'd go home. And you know what? My chest grew more from doing that than it ever did from doing 15 sets of conventional, weight. So you gotta listen to your body. Everyone's different. But then you could take a guy like Ronnie Coleman who could do high weight and high volume, and he grew. So, but for the majority of us normal mortal people, too much volume can be detrimental to muscle growth.
Let's go to Dale David 96. What do you think about DIM when you're doing a cut, and how much would you use?
I didn't hear the question, Sid.
Yeah, what do you think about DIM when you're on a cut, and how much would you use?
DIM, like D-I-M?
D-I-M, yes.
D-I-N or D-I-M as in Mary?
M as in Mary.
Okay, so that's diindolylmethane, which is like an estrogen binding agent. It doesn't inhibit the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. It binds extra estrogen and pulls it out of the body. Good for women. It can have some application to men. My Testolyze product from Species Nutrition has diindolylmethane and DIM in it as well, because you really can't sell there's no real natural anti-aromatases. So we use that to rid the body of extra estrogen, because when you get rid of estrogen, it raises natural testosterone level. So a lot of guys use that when they're off cycle. When guys are on cycle, they usually use Arimidex or Aromacin or Femara. Those are stronger aromatase inhibitors, which seem to be more effective.
Quinn Guidry, how much warm-up is necessary before lifting heavy? I usually do one warm-up set, then start my heavy working sets.
It depends how cool the muscles are. In the summer, where you're sweating all the time, you probably can almost go into the gym and just go, start training. There's no warm-up. But if you come in from 10-degree weather outside, and you have your winter coat on, and you go into the locker room, take it off, it's like, whoo, I'm like tight and stiff, and you might want to do a couple more, couple light sets to get that blood flowing. So it really is dependent on how you feel and what the weather is, where you are. I know guys that train in gyms that have no heat. So you better warm up in those gyms, because you're going to tear a muscle otherwise. You know what I used to do when I would drive to the gym? I would have the seat warmer like burning my back in my car before I got there. So when I went into the gym, my whole body was nice and heated up. So, and I don't like heat on it. I usually like it because I'm always warm. But I would do it purposely just to get my body, temperature up a little bit. I know some guys that go into the sauna for like 5 minutes before they train just to get that up. Or some guys will pedal a stationary bike to warm their body up. Everyone's different. You got to kind of do what works for yourself.
Neil 604, we get this question fairly often, but again, new audience. Will heavy bent over rows and deadlifts make my midsection thicker? I'm a classic competitor, and I want as much thickness on my back as possible, but not at the cost of a thicker waist.
You can't train and be afraid that you're going to thicken your waist. Your genetics are what they are. Flex Wheeler squatted, he leg pressed, he deadlifted at points of his career, and he had the smallest waist on stage. So that just tells you it's all genetics, okay? If you go from being a 180-pound, contest bodybuilder to being a 240-pound contest bodybuilder, will your waist be a little bigger? Absolutely, no way to prevent that. But your upper body will probably grow 10 times what your waist is going to grow, so you're going to look that much bigger. I'm sure Flex Wheeler's waist was smaller when he was 140 pounds on stage. When he was 240, 250 on stage, it was bigger, but it looked smaller because it's all an illusion. And that's what you got to remember. So the muscle mass gains you're going to put on your back and your legs from squatting and deadlifting are going to be infinitely bigger than the small, minute amounts of muscle size and thickness that you're going to add to your waist. So don't train scared. Train like you want to be the biggest bodybuilder you can be. Obviously, you're using good form.
JS Brown 923. This is getting some responses on our Instagram feed. In an off-season scenario, does it make a difference whether you do your cardio fasted or post-workout? And in the parentheses, during the week, it's more convenient for me to do so. Do fasted cardio before work. I've heard some coaches say it's best to, quote, save the fasted for contest prep, because otherwise your body will get used to it and it won't be as effective during prep.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Post weight training cardio to me is fasted. The term fasted means depleted, right? You wake up in the morning, you haven't eaten for 8 hours, you've been sleeping, you're in a fasted state, okay? Your blood sugar levels are stable, but you have really no glycogen, no glucose flowing through your digestive system because you're empty. So your body is going to see low normal blood sugar, it's going to dig into the stored body fat for fuel. Okay. After you weight train, you've depleted glycogen stores, okay, in the muscles and in the liver. So you're in the same scenario. Your blood sugar is probably very low normal, okay? You have no any extra food in you, assuming you're not guzzling carb drinks while you're training, weight training. So you're in a fasted state again. So whether you do it post-workout or first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, you're getting the same metabolic effect from it of mobilizing maximal stored body fat. Now that's not to say that you can't just do cardio at some point during the day, even though you've eaten 1 or 2 meals. You're still going to burn stored body fat, okay? You might not burn quite as much, okay, because you might use some of the food that's in your system, but by and far, you're going to use mostly stored body fat.
Mo Fitness 1130, if somebody else has this question, so they're 2 BCAA related questions. I'll knock them out both. One, I don't remember who it was, but so I can't give them credit. They wanted to know if most BCAAs on the market today come from human hair. But Mo Fitness 1130 wants to know how much is too much BCAA a day.
First of all, most amino acids are made from human hair. Okay, they're not fermented because the fermented ones are more expensive. Fermented means made from bacteria, so they get the bacteria to express the amino acid. They then collect the amino acid byproducts, and that's where they get it from. That's how they produce growth hormone and insulin and make synthetic hormones like that too. So that's, to me, is a technologically better way to do it. I use fermented amino acids in our Amino Evolved product from Species Nutrition. I think it's superior. I think it's a cleaner way to do it. I think it's better to quantify what you got in there, and who knows what these, I just don't like the whole idea of human hair. Not that it's, it is what it is. Having said that, how much is too much? If you're dieting, you don't want to be drinking amino acids all day long because your body will use them for fuel, okay? So if you're dieting, maybe do 1 serving a day. If you're not dieting, you probably can use pretty much as you want, but the problem is if you're always drinking these amino acids and you're missing food meals, you're screwing yourself. Also, if you drink too many, essential branched-chain amino acids all day long, you could throw the balance of the other amino acids off. That's why when we made Amino Evolved, I didn't just make a pure branched-chain amino acid product, which is only 3 amino acids. We used all the essentials and some of the unessential ones in there to keep a better balance of ratio of amino acids so that we're not just giving you like 1 or 2 or 3 specific amino acids and throwing the balance of the other ones off. So once again, I think everything should be done in moderation. 2 servings of a branched-chain amino acid drink per day is probably prudent off-season. Pre-contest, I like to not use it unless the person has a good metabolism, and then in which case I might give them 1 serving a day. I think that's adequate.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Good one here, Dave, from DH Fit, and I bet it applies to a lot of people watching right now. Would it be a good idea to list your bodybuilding accomplishments on your resume when applying for a job? I guess, if not, in fear of being stereotyped. So I guess, to elaborate upon that, whether or not to mention your bodybuilding history. Keep in mind, Dave, we often get a lot of requests from people asking to have their contest photos taken down from our photo gallery because, again, they feel like it's getting, the search rankings are showing them up high. And again, they're applying for a job. How would you answer that?
If you're applying for a job in a health nutrition store like a GNC or Vitamin Shop, if you're applying for a job with a supplement company, if you're applying for a job to do video shoots, with a bodybuilding or fitness magazine or website, yeah, I would list my bodybuilding accomplishments. However, if you're going for a job as a lawyer or secretary or to work in a warehouse, I don't think it's relevant. I think if anything, that's, it's kind of like saying, yeah, I won MVP on my football team when I was, and that might be more relevant because it might show that you're a team player. I don't know. But I just don't know. I probably wouldn't mention it. If it was a regular job, if it had something to do in the bodybuilding fitness field, I absolutely would mention it.
But Dave, to take it a step further, I think really what he's trying to get at is the fact that his fear, and I think this applies to a lot of bodybuilders, is the fear of being stereotyped. For lack of a better phrase, again, if you're applying to a financial services company and you put bodybuilder, it may just come off as meathead on the resume.
Right. Well, why would you even list it though? How is that going to qualify you as make you better qualified as a financial counselor if you won 3 bodybuilding shows? So it's irrelevant. In other words, a resume is designed to help get you a job, right? I mean, if Tyler, came in for the job as video editor here and producer of our TV studios, and he puts on there that he's an avid, flower picker, that's not gonna make me want to hire him. But if he puts down that he did this commercial and edited this movie, then I'm gonna be like impressed by that.
Right.
So you got to put down only the relevant stuff on your resume. So you might have a resume that you use for regular everyday life, and then you have a resume that you might use to send to a supplement company to hopefully get yourself a sponsorship.
Right. Well, but Dave, again, I'll play devil's advocate here because I've put some people in resumes will put hobbies, right? Other things that they do beyond their professional. So me personally, there are times where I have and have not included my broadcast background. Sometimes they'll look at that as a good thing. They'll be, all right, guy can present. Sometimes they'll look at it as a bad thing. It's in excess. Somebody, a bodybuilder, again, to play the other side of the card here, if somebody who's bodybuilder down, I may look at that as be like, you know what, this guy keeps in shape, or she keeps in shape. They're clearly got their priorities in order. Again, I'm trying to weigh the merits if somebody puts down like as a hobby and saying, hey, by the way, you know what, I do really well at this. I place at a national competition.
I would basically determine my resume according to what job I'm trying to get. If someone hires me to be there to get them in shape, and they're like a 75-year-old conservative, maybe semi-racist billionaire who's going to pay me a lot of money, I'm not necessarily going to put down that I breed snakes on the resume, okay? Because I don't think it's going to help me get the job. I might put that I'm a bodybuilding personality and I write diets for some of the top celebrities in the industry, and here's my educational background. But I don't think my snake breeding is relevant. As a matter of fact, she might think, ooh, snakes. Ooh, what a cuckoo bird. I don't want him coming to my house. Maybe he'll bring one of them with me. So I think that you have to temper your resume according to what job you're going for.
Let's go to Rob Team Fisher. Dave, when you're doing PCT, the goal is to recover natural test production, organ better function, or receptor recovery?
I think all of the above. When you're doing when you go off your drugs, okay, you're trying to restore everything. You're trying to restore anabolic receptor sensitivity. You're trying to detoxify the body. You're trying to give your body a rest from what you were just doing, chemically speaking. You want your liver and your kidneys to clean out. That's why a lot of times I have guys do my 3-week detox that I offer and give out to people for free. Because you want to do all this during that off period. So if let's say you're taking off 8 to 10 weeks, at the end of your contest season, get everything done at once, clean out, increase. That's why I'm like, don't stay on a low dose of steroids, because now you're not, number one, you're not cleaning out the dosage wise, and you're not restoring receptivity to your anabolic receptors. So get everything done at once, even though you might be a little depressed. Try to enjoy that. I tell people, do it at the end of the year, during the holidays. You can enjoy your time at your family a little bit. Give yourself a break after New Year's, and after, maybe January passes, you get back on your cycle, you start up again, and you hit it hard for the next 10 months of the year. That's the way to do it, okay? If you're gonna be afraid to allow your body to clean out, eventually you're gonna be forced to clean it out at some point in the future, and hopefully it won't be because you've damaged your health.
Ryan Bickford, I've been dealing with scar tissue in my pec near my shoulder for a year. It's prevented me from lifting as heavy as I'd like on pretty much all chest exercises. Any advice on how to deal with scar tissue buildup besides going and paying for expensive massages?
You get what you pay for. You ever hear that expression? A lot of times massage won't even help, those type of scar tissue issues, because the person really doesn't, they're just digging around in there and they don't really know what they're doing. I mean, there are some really good massage therapists that will get through there, but I like to use, and I mentioned this on this show a million times, ART, Active Release Techniques. You can go on activereleasetechniques.com website. You can find a practitioner in your area who's been accredited, someone like a Derek Farnsworth or my friend Derlin Castro. There's a lot of highly accredited people out there that can work and break that scar tissue up with specific moves that they've learned in this course, and will free up that muscle. Because the problem with scar tissue is here you have muscles, okay, your pec minor, your pec major, your deltoid muscle that normally slide past each other like this. When you damage something and you cause scar tissue, the muscles stick together. And instead of doing this, now they do this. And when they do this, you're straining tendons in weird motions. You get tendonitis. You can't really feel the muscles get a deep, stretch when you come down with the weight. And what happens is you have to get someone in there who knows how to turn this back into this again. And when you do that with an ART guy, you instantly feel better. And you can start training. The reason they call it active release is because you're actively moving the muscle while they're applying these moves. And the great thing about it is that they don't tell you, hey, stay home and don't train. They tell you, go to the gym, test it out, let's see. If it feels good, then we're good. If not, we might have to come back for a few more treatments to get all that scar tissue out of there. Because once it's out of there and those muscles are moving freely again, you're going to start making improvements again.
Never give up. Dave, what is your favorite exercise? When I say favorite, what got you the most excited to crush heavy weight or enjoy a nasty pump?
I always liked, I never considered myself a strong guy. I was stronger than the average, but I wasn't one of these guys that went into the gym and was able to bench press, a lot of weight. It took me a long time to be able to do 225 on the bench, and I never really even thought I would ever get 315. So when I was able to do 405 on an incline bench for, 4 to 6 clean reps, to me that was a huge accomplishment. Also, I would have to say that squatting, 6 plates on each side of the squat bar, for 6 good reps also was a huge accomplishment because that was I could do 5. To get to that 6th plate was really tough for me. I did do 7 plates on each side one time, but it was, wasn't the greatest rep. So I would say the 6 plates on the squat on each side for, 6 reps, and then the 4 to 6 reps on the bench press 405 on the incline bench were probably the 2 most proud, I guess, lifts that I did in the gym.
Guillaume, Savaro, Dave, I've competed 3 times this year, and every time after the show, I would go and eat the night after the show. All I wanted, basically, the next day, when I woke up, my legs, they had no power to stand up. The first 2 shows, I could help my arms, but the last show, neither my arms nor legs had any sort of power. It would last for a day plus some cramps. Do you have any explanation for this and any way to avoid it? It's pretty scary.
When you take diuretics and you restrict fluid for 24 hours or more, you're going to get electrolyte imbalances. I remember once I did a show. I decided the last minute to do it. I lost like 22 pounds overnight just from taking a diuretic. I actually won the show. We went out to eat after, I think it was TGI Fridays if I remember correctly, and I was eating all this salty, greasy food because I'm like, oh, I'm so thirsty, drinking tons of diet soda and water. And literally, while I was sitting there eating, I couldn't feel my legs anymore. I said, I don't remember, I was with a bunch of friends, I'm like, guys, I can't feel my legs. They're like, stop. I'm like, no, I really can't. I can't get up. I just don't feel them. They're like dead weight there. And I got kind of scared, but I knew that electrolytes can get screwed up, and I knew I pulled a tremendous amount of sodium water. I wasn't cramping, I just couldn't feel my legs. And so I didn't panic, I just sat there, and by the end of the meal, probably about an hour or so later, my leg feeling started to come back. Because what happens is the electrolytes have to re-equilibrate themselves. You could put a ton of sodium back into your body, but until that sodium and potassium go to the right places, the sodium inside the muscle, the potassium inside the muscle, the sodium outside the muscle, and they equilibrate each other, you're going to get weird feelings. And a lot of times people get cramps, and people forget, hey, I took diuretics today, even though I drank and ate my ass off at dinner. The diuretics are still working while I'm sleeping, and when I wake up the next morning, I'm still electrolyte depleted, even though I drank a ton and I ate a ton of salt. So the key is to keep putting back those electrolytes, keep drinking enough fluid, and you know what? If you do start to gain tremendous amounts of weight from water retention, you might have to stay on a little bit of a diuretic just to keep that extra water weight off your body, because that can become very uncomfortable as well. So, once the show's over, that's when the danger time really sets in. You got to really be aware of your body and what's going on, and make sure you're either taking in enough salt and water and or not allowing your body to retain too much fluid.
Let's go to Mackey 1977. Started a cleanse cycle at about 20 mcg twice a day, getting severe cramping in calves at night while sleeping, even after drinking 1 gallon of water and plenty of sodium. Is there something else I can do for the cramping, or should I possibly take a different, more moderate route and try the ECA stack, or is ECA even worth it?
No, clenbuterol doesn't cause cramping because of electrolyte imbalance. It causes cramping because it makes the muscles contract harder. That's why a lot of people who take clenbuterol notice they get really strong on the stuff. So not everyone gets the cramping. I used to get cramps under my jaw when I would yawn, and it would feel like my neck was cramping up. What works really well for that is if you go and buy diet tonic water. Tonic water has quinine in it, and the quinine in there will inhibit the cramping from occurring. It actually just stops it, okay? So if you drink a little diet tonic water, maybe before bed, you won't get those cramps. Usually after about 2 weeks on clenbuterol, all the side effects you would get initially, the little shakiness to it, the cramping, sometimes the headaches, they all go away. It seems like the 2-week mark is the magic button. As soon as you get to that 2-week mark, you lose a lot of the side effects, but you still gain the benefits of the fat burning. So once again, diet tonic water is a must-have.
Paul Falbo, Dave, how did you cook your steak in the off-season? Was it rare, medium rare, or well done? And is there a difference in terms of nutrients and muscle growth?
I was always a well-done guy growing up, believe it or not. I didn't want to have any redness. I don't want any juices. I like dried, well-done meats like Flex Wheeler does. And then as I got older, I started getting a taste for rare. I almost like it raw now. Almost maybe because after I got into eating sushi, you could sear a steak, like a nice lean piece of steak to me for a filet mignon, and I'll eat it almost like raw. I think it's delicious that way, to be honest with you. I think that the only time you could actually harm the meat is if you char it. So if you put a steak on a barbecue and it comes off all black, first of all, that's not good for you. They say that there's carcinogens in there, in the burnt stuff, but it definitely destroys the protein integrity. So I would cook my meat if you like it cooked, but I wouldn't burn it. That's the key.
Take a couple of more. 91 JDG, as a tall bodybuilder, what can I do to guard against knee pain when squatting or doing hacksmith?
I had long legs, and I always opened up my stance when I did wide stance. I really had no knee pain, I have to be honest with you, ever when I squatted because of my wider stance. I think guys who put their legs close together sometimes will get more knee pain. And what I would do is when I would go over, I think it was originally over 4 plates, but I think once I started really lifting heavy, it was when I would go over 3 plates. When I started, as soon as I would go to the 4th plate on each side, 4 or 5, I would wrap my knees with knee wraps. And I did that. I didn't do them crazy tight or anything like that. I did them more to support my knees because my knees, I have very loose joints, so I wanted to hold everything together. So I didn't want that to be a vulnerable area. But I never felt knee pain. Now, I do wear custom orthotics in my shoes. What I do find is when the orthotics start to break down and it's time to get a new pair, which is usually about every year and a half to 2 years, I start to feel knee pain when I train my legs. So that's telling me that the arch support in those orthotics is not working adequately. So if you have chronic knee pain, and no matter what your stance is in squats, they're always hurting, I would go to the podiatrist and get a pair of custom orthotics. As a matter of fact, every bodybuilder, including women, anyone who trains out there, should go and have custom orthotics made because you can never have perfect feet. There's no one that has perfect feet. And by putting these inserts inside your shoes that are custom made to correct your arch support, it's only going to make your training that much more perfect and your muscle development that much more balanced.
Last one here, and you might want to take a few seconds to think of this one. It's from Vote Garrett. Your top 5 favorite, so I don't know if you want to say the best or your favorite non-American bodybuilders of all time.
Well, Dorian Yates was big on my list as far as bodybuilders go. I loved Dorian. I thought he was awesome. I loved Nasser, even though Nasser used to break my balls. I think JP Fuchs was awesome back in the day when he was at his prime of his career. I love Dennis Wolf's physique. I love Flex Lewis's physique too. And I know I'm forgetting a million people, but right off the top of the head that just popped into my head, those were the top 5.
On that note, that is going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. Again, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. Programming reminder, Iron Debate tomorrow. It's going to feature Matt Porter, Factory Mubarak. They had that Facebook standoff yesterday, as well as King Kamali. That's going to go live tomorrow afternoon right here on RxMuscle.com. For Dave Palumbo and our producer Tyler Shore, I'm Sadiq Faruqi reminding you to keep it locked to RxMuscle.com.